moving on from where we left off in the last session, the function isdigit, as you can see from the prototype, returns an integer, takes as argument an integer as well. But as I mentioned in the last session, ch would be defined as a character type in our code and then converted internally to integer when this function is called. Returns non-zero or true if ch is a digit, otherwise returns 0 or false. For each character entered through stdin, if the character entered is not a number, print appropriate messages. So let's now go to code blocks. And in the same file that you have is control, we'll just copy this code and just put a comment there saying isdigit. And you can comment out the previous block of code. And here we'll change the function. So we say here isdigit. And rather than just checking if isdigit, we'll check if not isdigit. And printf numbers only, right? Otherwise printf you entered number %c, right? If you put in %d there, you get the ASCII code, and you can try that after the session. But now let's run this. Let's try G. Let's try a number. Let's try a control character, like the enter key that was, a backspace character. Let's try another number. Right, so you see how this function works. Moving on. Isgraph. Again, this function returns an integer and takes as argument an integer as well. Returns non-zero or true if ch is any printable character other than a space. But the keywords here are printable characters. Otherwise returns false. Modify the password program so as to allow the use of all characters for passwords except a space. So let's go back to code blocks and we'll go to the program where we wrote the code for entering a password, and here we'll say no spaces allowed first of all, right? And then here we change this to if not isgraph, right? And that's all. So now this program should accept any character except the space. So let's run it. Let's try entering letters, special characters, numbers. Password created successfully. Right? So you see that function's accepting all characters. But of course, if we try to enter a space, we should get an error. Space, special character. So you can see we have that error. And of course, you can play with this program after the session. Moving on. How can we ensure the password characters are not displayed on screen? Let's now go back to the same code. And we're using getC here, and that's going to echo the character on screen as we saw in the output. So we can use get instead, right? Remember, get does not echo characters on screen. And of course, we need to then include conio.h. Right now, let's use the flash. And we want to have some indication, right, sent out to the user that characters have been entered. So we can do that with push and just put the asterisk there in place of the character. And outside here, we will just pose a \n. Right? So now let's run this. And now you can see as I enter characters, I can only see the asterisk. Again, you can play around with this program. Moving on. Isprint, again returning an integer and taking as argument an integer as well. Returns non-zero if ch is a printable character including a space. So that's the difference between isgraph and isprint. Isprint allows spaces as well, otherwise return 0 or false. Write code to accept 5 characters from the user and report all printable and non-printable characters. Remember that isprint includes spaces as printable characters. So let's now go back to code blocks and we'll go to the file that contains iscontrol. And again, we'll copy this code down. And we'll put in a comment here saying isprint, right? And we need to comment out this block of code. And now we need a counter here. And while counter is less than 5, right? We change this to if not is print. And here we say printf %d is not printable. Why am I using %d? Because remember, if I use %c and it's not printable, it's going to show me nothing on screen. Right? Otherwise, printf, we don't need to change anything here. We just take away the word number. And of course, counter needs to increment. So ctr++. Run. Let's try a letter. Let's try a number. Let's try a special character. Let's try a control character. Right, so that's 13, which is the enter key. Backspace, again not printable. Right, so you see how that works. Moving on. Islower, the prototype returning an integer taking as argument integer again returns non-zero or true if ch is a lowercase letter, otherwise returns 0 or false. And then we have isupper, returns an integer again taking as argument an integer, returns non-zero or true if ch is an uppercase letter, otherwise returns false. Right, so no code for these two. I'm sure you can manage to write code on your own for these two. So this ends our session for today. In the next session, we look at more character functions. Till then, take care, stay safe. Bye.